Hey guys, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I wanted to show you the creature card game that we got in. I wanted to show you the components and all that stuff and just kind of give you a little feedback on what we think about it. Hopefully eventually you guys can see it firsthand. So the first thing I want to show you is the actual box. So you can see that it's a classic kind of, playing card style tuck box is how they describe it because of the way it's basically folded and the lid tucks in close. The cover, or the front of it, has the creature logo on it and kind of this frosty ice design, and it looks pretty good. I would probably want to add a little color to the actual title, The Creature, maybe red or something to make it pop out a little bit more, but it looks pretty good. The side here, it's got The Creature again. The other side, it's got the wintry Uncharted Interactive logo, which I think works really well with this kind of frozen theme. The bottom shows ages, number of players, and then time to play, just, basic information. The back of the box has title at the top, little blurbs of information about the general plot of the game and also how the game's played. You've got the Game Crafter logo over here, which is the company that's publishing the game. And then the Uncharted Interactive Tiki icon over here, and then some legal info in the middle. It all printed out really clean and nicely for the most part. Any flaws would be, at this point, in our error. But the text is pretty clean and all the colors are sharp, and so it just looks really good. My first complaint, however, is that the box is folded a little poorly, and I think that's probably because it's hand folded. You can see in this corner here the actual tucking part of the lid. It just doesn't fit very well in this corner. It looks a little fugly, and you can even see the side open up here. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's held itself closed, but it just doesn't look as clean as like the bicycle playing card boxes. Anyways, I'm going to open it up, and actually I'll show you this way. Whoa! First thing to notice is that there's plenty of room in there. It was one of the concerns we had was that we weren't going to have enough room for the manual and the cards, but we did the math and it seemed like it would work, and turns out it fits perfectly with extra room. So if we ever did a revision, we could include more cards, a bigger rule book, whatever. But the fact that there's a little bit of room in there is kind of nice. It makes it easier to take things in and out. So there's all the cards and the manual. I'm going to start with the manual first. So the manual looks pretty darn sweet. Here's the cover. You might notice, and it's like this on all the pages, there's this kind of texture. It's supposed to look like wrinkled paper, or kind of, basically wrinkled paper, because it's supposed to be like an older document. It came out pretty good. I just hope no one thinks it's like some weird printing error, but it's faint enough and simple enough. I don't think it's a big problem, and it still looks good. Everything's readable. And speaking of readable, all the text and image stuff is really sharp. You can probably see, for such a small manual, in my hand, you can see the text and all that stuff is very sharp. And I'm really pleased with that. Even the kind of watermark, the PDL watermark in the background is sharp, even for a watermark. So if we turn to the first page, you can see, get a little closer there, you can see that all the little graphics and alpha layers and things worked out really well. Once again, the text is pretty darn sharp, and it's good like that throughout the whole book too. So I'm very pleased with the book. One of the concerns I had was that the text was either going to be too small to read or would come too close to the corners, maybe even get cut off. But it's easy enough to read, at least for me, and it comes to the edges nicely, and even in the center, nothing gets cut off or obscured. So I'm super pleased with that. Knowing this, I will probably include page numbers on the next game manual I do, or any updates to this, because I think that would help at least for some people. It would help for me when organizing that information. But anyways, that's my fault. And last but not least, the very back, we've got more logos and credits and stuff like that, and all that stuff's really sharp, and I'm really pleased with that too. These are actually a little bigger than I think they need to be. I mean, it fills up the space, but you know, I was once again worried that stuff was going to be too small and not readable, and actually it's very readable. So I might make it smaller so I can include maybe some more text for, you know, props to some of these for the Game Crafter and Trello. Anyways, manual works really well. It's also just a simple, like, folded with the little paper clip or staple, I should say, on the side here. That holds together pretty well. You know, it's just a small manual booklet, so that one's awesome. Let's check out the cards. So it comes with the full deck of creature cards. Let me break these down a little bit. There's the human team cards. And this was kind of the base of the theme of the cards. It's supposed to be like photo ID badges, you know, something you would kind of have on a lanyard that you would walk around the laboratory, you know, and you can see the Pharmadyne laboratory logo here and the little photo ID there. And we used photos of actual people. You can see the immune card is me. We've got our other play testers and friends here as all the other roles. And you might recognize some faces. And that's pretty cool. We tried to get an original image for each card so that it's actually kind of unique like that and didn't want to repeat. These came out really nice. I was a little worried about the detail in the top not being very clean, but you know, the textures and the details actually worked out very well. The watermark PDL in the background worked out really well. The text is sharp. The lines for the barcode are really good. And the actual cards themselves are pretty nice. They don't have that divoting, the little like holes almost, or divots, I guess, that you'd get on like bicycle cards, which give it that kind of sliding, waxy feel. But they're still pretty darn good. And they're cut evenly, which I'm definitely pleased about. I was always worried about that. The only other thing I notice is that on the edge of the cards, if you kind of rub your finger on it, it's a little bit rougher than like bicycle cards. Just a little bit. I mean, it's so slight. I mean, really you wouldn't notice it, but you know, I'm just being critical of the components. But overall, really, really high quality cards. Now, the other ones, which you saw, which are equally important, if not more so to the game, are the infected cards, which you can kind of see are the same photo IDs, but they've been corrupted by this green kind of creeping stuff, which I was also worried might not come out well in the print, but it came out very well. You know, very sharp, rich colors. In fact, it came out so nicely, the infected cards, that compared to the kind of plain human cards, the infected just seems so much cooler. I mean, you know, it's supposed to be functional, but you know, if I were to change anything, I might add a little more texture, color to these, without, you know, going outside the theme. But it looks really good. My only complaint for the infected cards, which is something that we can kind of improve on, is the actual infected word down here, which obscures the human word on the other card, which are the teams, by the way. The infected is just a little bit harder to read, so I would probably change the color of that a little bit. But it works. It functions for what we need it to function for. And the whole darn card is covered in green, so it's not like you're going to make the mistake that you know, that one of these infected cards is a human. And then, of course, for these infected, we don't have any faces because they've been corrupted, and it could be anyone. The last thing to show, which is kind of neat here, is that we included some blanks in the game so people can create their own roles for both the humans and the infected. That was kind of a decision we made last second, which I'm really pleased about because, you know, I love doing that. I love being able to kind of customize the experience. So that's neat. Oh, and the backs of the cards, which are very much like the cover art of the box. Oddly enough, they're brighter and the angle of the words a little different, which might be an indication that we should use that instead. But I'm still very pleased with it, and it reads very well, and I'm super pleased. You know, for the first game we have printed at this Game Crafter, I'm really pleased with it, and I have another card game that I'm working on, which I will definitely produce through them, and the creature itself, the card game, will actually, hopefully very soon, within the next couple of weeks or within the next month, we will be selling these on the website. So check them out and give us some feedback, and catch you later.